Hello everyone, Ted Lacksonen, the Country Thinker here. Today is going to be episode 2 of my novel, The Eagle Has Crashed. I didn't get a lot of feedback from the first episode, but what I did hear was positive. My friend Jim said he enjoyed it, and Jim's been having some eye problems lately. So maybe this will be a chance for him to give his eyes a rest and get to hear The Eagle Has Crashed. I also said last week that for the first few episodes, I'm going to give you some background material before we get into the story. So today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the setting and the characters. Although there's some scenes in Washington, D.C. where we track what the policymakers are trying to do, most of it takes place in central Ohio, which is my home state. It takes place in Franklin County, which is the Columbus area, and also Licking County, which is a rural county just to the east of Columbus. When it comes to the characters, there are quite a few characters, and they're pretty diverse. We've got Republicans, Democrats, and apolitical people. We have city folks, country folks, and suburban people. It's meant to give something of a representative slice of life here in Ohio. These characters are intended to be like people you know, or perhaps even like you yourself. And I did this because I want people to think about how a debt crisis might really affect us in our daily lives. Because there are quite a few characters, most of the chapters are divided into subsections. And in order for you to know when we're changing scenes and moving on to a different time, place, or people, you will hear the following sound when that means we are changing scenes. Okay, so with the housekeeping taken care of, it's time to move on to episode 2 of The Eagle Has Crashed, April 2029. It begins with a quote by Erskine Bowles, former advisor to President Bill Clinton and co-chair of the Simpson-Bowles Deficit Commission. If we don't restore some fiscal sanity around here as a nation, we are going to go broke. I know that's not a word people like to use, but it happens to be true. We face the most predictable economic crisis in history. The debt we are accumulating will be like a cancer. It will definitely destroy this country from within. A shrill buzzer sounded, and a sandy-haired man in a dark blue uniform flipped the switch on his grinder, ending an orange shower of metal sparks. He took off his clear face shield, set it on his workbench, and turned to walk away when he saw a lean young black man walking by without looking his way. He turned back to the workbench, grabbed a grease-smudged piece of paper, and crumpled it. He turned and shot it like a basketball, bouncing it off his co-worker's head. "Yeah, Cavs, baby," he said, pumping his fist and showing a boyish playfulness that belied his 37 years. "NBA champions for 2029. He smiled. "Thought you could sneak past me, Myron?" Myron stopped and shook his head with a grin. "Nah, Kevin, come on. It was regular season. You know the Pistons will mess them up if they meet in the playoffs." Kevin Davis smiled, and the two began walking through the smoky manufacturing facility in eastern Columbus, with Myron towering above his short companion. They headed towards the management offices and worker break rooms. The two continued bickering about basketball until they reached the time clock and punched out for their lunch break by sliding their thumbs across a glowing glass plate mounted to the wall. As they reached the door, Myron halted, his eyes focused on the long rows of painted metal mail slots hanging on the dingy hallway across from the worker restrooms. A third of the slots had pink folded pieces of paper stuffed in front of the company newsletter. They both walked over. "What the hell's this about?" Myron said. Kevin approached the mail slots apprehensively. Daniels. Davidson. Davis. "Son of a bitch," he said, withdrawing a pink piece of paper. Myron put an arm around his shoulder. "You too?" Kevin asked. "Nah," Myron said, shaking his head. "But hey, listen, man, I'm really sorry." Kevin's shoulders slumped and he hung his head. "Son of a bitch." Kevin sat on a plaid couch with his stocking feet up on a laminated wooden coffee table. He held a beer in his left hand and a television remote in his right as he watched a replay of the previous night's basketball game. The door from the garage opened, and he heard his wife click across the linoleum in her heels, followed by the clatter of keys on the kitchen table. She approached the arch opening into the unlit family room. "Hey, Lucy," he said, his eyes still fixed on the television. "Why are you drinking on a Wednesday?" she said, looking at 4 crumpled beer cans on the coffee table. Kevin leaned forward, picked up the pink slip, crumpled in a ball, and held it aloft. The act reinforced the hard-working union welder's self-image as that of a character from a Bruce Springsteen song, an ordinary guy who gets tossed about and abused by the larger forces of the world. He looked to the kitchen and saw her standing with her hands on her broad hips. Lucy was a solid woman of nearly pure West African heritage, and her round face conveyed her strong emotions. She had a face-tightening scowl that could darken the sun, and a wide-toothed smile that could keep it from setting. At that moment, Lucy was scowling. "Is that what I think it is?" she asked. "Yup." "Did you do something to get yourself fired?" Kevin made a lot of bad decisions, like accepting the challenge of a friend during the Super Bowl 2 months earlier. Kevin drank a beer for every point the San Diego Chargers scored. All 38 of them. "Nah, they said they're cutting back because of, how'd they put it?" Kevin uncrumpled the letter. "Because of economic conditions." "The economy?" She stepped down into the family room and tucked her long flower print skirt behind her legs as she joined him on the couch. "What the heck are they talking about, economic conditions?" "At the employment agency, we've had a few more cases than usual, but that's just normal ups and downs. It's not like it was 3 years ago when my caseload was through the roof." Kevin shrugged his shoulders and took a swig of beer. "It's probably BS. I bet they just shipped my job off to China or India or something." "Maybe," she answered. "I can't believe there's anything wrong with the economy. The news says everything's doing great." Kevin leaned back, tipped his head on the back of the couch, and stared at the ceiling with his hazel eyes. "The good thing is that under our contract I get 30 more days before they let me go, and hopefully I can find another job after that. If I don't, I'll get my unemployment and my union bennies." "Thank God for the union." "Yeah, no kiddin'," she said, stroking his hair with the back of her hand. "I know you're bummed and all, but how about you clean up these beer cans? The kids will be home from school soon." Lucy was the keel of the mixed-race marriage. "I can do that," Kevin answered, sitting back up and scratching his stubbly chin. He turned and faced her. "Any chance you can take them over to their granny and grandpa's tonight?" He turned away. "Losing my job kind of makes me feel, I don't know, not like a dad." Lucy stood up and straightened the light material of her skirt. As an unemployment caseworker, she knew plenty of people who looked forward to layoffs, but Kevin wasn't one of them. He had started working when he was 14, cleaning up after hours at a collision repair shop for cash under the table. He saw himself as a hard-working, put food on the table, work overtime when offered, dad. Getting laid off was something he always took hard. "I know you're bummed, honey. You're also half drunk. I'll give Mama a call."